When you look at the dragons, what do you see?
It's important.
What do you see?
I suppose I see us.
Tell me.
Everyone says Targaryens are closer to gods than to men. But they say that because of our dragons. Without them, we're just like everyone else.
The idea that we control the dragons is an illusion. They're a power man should never have trifled with. One that brought Valyria its doom.
If we don't mind our own histories, it would do the same to us. Targaryen must understand this to be king. Or queen.
And welcome back to another episode of the Wrap Up, the show where we talk about all the things that transpired the night before with House of the Dragon. A little bit of a bittersweet episode because it is the last one of the year until A Night of the Seven Kingdoms comes out next year. But yeah, joining me today to break down all things House of the Dragon Season 3, Episode 8, The Treasons of Tumbleton, is my co-host, Evan Harris.
Glad to be here one last time. We've had a fantastic year, everybody. Fantastic year in the world of George R.R. Martin. You know, we started this year off super strong with the Night of Seven Kingdoms, A Night of Seven Kingdoms. And now we've had a blast talking about each and every episode of House of the Dragon Season 3. And it ends with I say a fantastic episode, a fantastic finale, lots to break down. One of my favorite episodes of the entire season, right up there with episode 3, in my opinion, with the whole Rhaenyra-centric episode. This has been, we'll do our season overviews at the end, but I've had a great time discussing each and every episode. And there's a lot to break down here, a lot of different... last week, we saw a lot of betrayals happening, Daemon slightly betraying Rhaenyra for his daughter's sake, Ulf betraying Rhaenyra for his own sake, Darren planning on not following through with Ormond's plans. A lot of different betrayals leading up to this very chaotic, intense battle at Tumbleton, and a lot of even more betrayals to come from on Rhaenyra's end as she stakes her claim at King's Landing. She's had enough of it. And yeah, there's a lot to break down here. Character-wise, Rhaenyra, Daemon, Aegon, Aemond, Helaena. Where should we begin? Where should we start?
I feel like this is another, we've been going back and forth with the format of the show as the season has developed. We started with territories, went to characters. I feel like this would be like a fitting episode to go back to territories, given we're just really just in King's Landing, Harrenhal, and Tumbleton, and that's basically it.
I agree.
But yeah, I will say about this episode real quick. A common thread with this season, at least for me, has been really great moments, really great episodes, and this is another example of I really love this episode. Not only do I think it's one of the best of the season, I think it's one of the best of the series, maybe one of the best overall of Westerosi episodes. But again, if I have any gripes with this episode, it's mostly just the structure of the season. Things should have happened earlier. Other characters should have gotten more screen time. It's all a result of what happened with season 2, as we know, and where we're at right now with the show. But
I agree. Just to get some of the negatives out the way, I think I felt some of those things with Mysaria storyline, which we kind of talked about last week. There was a decision made in this finale where Rhaenyra again betrays Mysaria, sends her out. And I feel like that moment would have more impact if we saw more of Mysaria's influence on Rhaenyra leading up to this sudden change. But I do like how the show makes a claim that, this is very sudden. Like, everybody is surprised, even in universe. So I feel like that storyline could have been made more clear in particular.
For me, another big one, and we kind of talked about it in our friend group chat, but the stuff with Team Black at Tumbleton, besides Daemon, and here's the thing, I think Roddy the Ruin is fucking cool. He's great in this episode. This really does feel like a payoff to that character of an arc that we didn't get to see.
Fair
if that
enough.
makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
But yeah, like again, like in and of itself, as a singular episode, I think this was like honestly, what else could you ask for this show? But yeah, like where do you want to start? Do you want to start just like right away with like the least significant stuff that happened in this episode at Harrenhal, or where do you want to
Let's start off with the rom-com, the comedy at Harrenhal here. Let's start small, get big here with this breakdown. And yeah, we see Aegon, which I guess we can kind of flutter some stuff that happens at the beginning of this episode where Aegon isn't necessarily physically present, but even beginning of the episode, the first scene is Rhaenyra getting word that Aegon is alive. The realm now knows Aegon is alive. We had a long ass, what do they call it? Last time on House of the Dragon, whatever it's called, the recap.
Yeah.
Super long. And
I love the line of Rhaenyra of like, oh, he's risen like he's Jesus or something.
right, like he is
And
risen.
that is and that is a common thread throughout the episode of like how people view his rise again.
Big time, big time. So the realm now knows about Aegon. We'll get into the impact of it all at the Sept, but Rhaenyra's not having it, and it affects what we see there at Harrenhal, where he is physically present. Last week, he said to Lionel, what's his name?
No, Tylan and Laris.
Tylan and Laris, thank you. He tells Tylan, like, my main goal, like, I need to go see my brother. And me and you were on a recap. We're like, okay, what are you going to do to your brother? You're going to kill him? You can't kill Aemond. He's too strong for you. But I didn't really take into account Aemond is feeling super dejected. And this goes into another weakness I have with this episode. Super, super small nitpick. But, like, we kind of talked about it in terms of the season overall, right? Like, I feel like Aemond's journey would have been much more interesting because it's not bad. I really like it. I get it. It's not subtle at all. But, like, Aemond's feeling of dejectedness, his begging of forgiveness for Aegon here would have worked if I actually saw something. But like they did something interesting where it's like it's more so Daemon is all visual, all audio visual. We see what's happening. We see what he's going through. We see his that change visually. This time around, it's much more audio. Starting from episodes whenever he got sick in Harrenhal, he was awoken by like audio visual cues from his dreams. Like we could hear Aegon voice echoing in his head. We can hear the Aegon screaming in his head. A lot of this was audio, and that continues here, where we see a lot of audio when he wakes up before Sunfire arrives, and we hear Aegon screaming. You know, we hear Aemond's like saying words to his brother from season 2. Like we hear a lot of this. I get it. Just personally, I would have loved to seen it instead of hearing it. It would have worked for his whole like dejected, rejected arc even more than what we already have.
Yeah, I think the way that we can look back on this season and compare Daemon's therapy session at Harrenhal to Aemond's, perfect example of show don't tell. Where for me, the reason why Daemon's storyline in season 2, I know like it's hot take, I guess, because people didn't really like it, but
Not here.
Not here. We're really big fans of that stuff at Harrenhal in season 2. But like the reason why it worked is because again we get to go along with Daemon and get to see what he see, and then we're living his therapy of where he ends up in season 3 and why he's like so committed to Rhaenyra. Whereas here with Aemond, it is a lot of telling us and not showing us. We have conversations of him and Alice of like, what did you see, this or that. The closest that we've gotten to actually living within his head and his dreams is the stuff last week with Alicent.
Yes.
Which you know that's what it is. But again, like I would have loved like getting to see visions of him and Aegon. We talked about this 2 years ago when season 2 ended. Of like I would have loved to see Aemond be haunted by the ghost of Luke of Lucerys.
Oh man,
all of these things that Aemond has done, like there's a lot of meat there for you to chew on with Harrenhal and what Harrenhal represents on a visual level for these characters. But again, a lot of telling us, not showing us with the storyline in the season.
Agreed.
And again, like you said, it's not bad. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I think I would have rated like a solid 7.5, 8 out of 10. Like, it's still very strong, mainly because, again, I just love Ewan's performance. It's such a stark contrast to his like feeling of superiority. Just flashback everybody to like the way he was walking around King's Landing every single episode last season with this boss ass attitude, this feeling of superiority and strength. Even when he was like not near his dragon, he was kicking his mother out of the council. The way he was talking to his own council, to his own brother, like dreadfully whispering in his ears, like he had so much imposing, ominous like aura around him. This is in stark contrast to that, but it's still very, very engaging. Primarily because he is still. We mentioned this with this show in general of like a lot of these arcs hit even more when you're opposite somebody. And this whole season he was opposite Alice, and we do get a great Alice scene earlier that we'll talk about that in a second. But like opposite Alice, opposite Aegon in this episode, like the performance is really elevating his position in his arc, and I really liked that. But yeah, like I really liked how he woke up and how he met Aegon in this feeling of like literally on his knees. Like this is a very interesting position and state for an Aemond to be in. Like a feeling of like sadness, dejectedness, only to all crumble with a very comedic line, "I'm alive."
Alive.
Very, very funny.
Tom, great get to play Aegon.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
But yeah, like this back and forth, like I love that on his priority list, on Aegon's list, is just to like go fuck with his brother, continue to bully him. The very thing that got Aemond in the place that he was last season, with the whole treachery between the two brothers. But what I find very interesting about this dynamic, because he arrives, he lands on Sunfire, he gets out of his dragon, starts walking towards Aemond. Aemond immediately, like you said, gets on his knees, very remorseful. But what I found interesting is that is Alice reaction to this. You could tell, and again, like we're gonna talk about the scene between her and Aemond in a minute, but you could tell like she can feel Aemond getting out of her grasp, in the sense that she has this entire plan of like let's make a new line of unsullied kings or whatever. Now, because of what happens in their conversation, we kind of know why she's also into that idea. But yeah, like her initial plan of basically having control over this dragon lord is getting away because the brother is back, type of thing. Again, like last week we had the mom come in and kind of like ruin the vibe. Now it's the brother-in-law who's coming in and kind of like ruining the vibe for her all over again. But like this time it will actually stick, it seems, and Aemond will 100% get under Aegon's shoe, I guess you could say. But comparing Daemon and Aemond,
yes,
even though like again we've said in the show multiple times, Aemond does what people claim that Daemon is, within the context of this world. I do like this character beat, that he kind of essentially now is like a evil version of Daemon, where like, oh, my brother, like I'll do anything to do right for you. But like the only reason why he's doing that now is because he fucked up, which is very Daemon, but again, like a much darker version of that in a way.
Very much so, and that's what's so fascinating. By the end of season 2, even Rhaenyra was questioning Daemon's loyalty. Is Daemon going to side with me? And what does he do? Similar to Aemond here, he gets on his knees, not both his knees, but he bends the knee to Rhaenyra, and it's more of a wholesome moment, because even though they left on bad terms, they are married and they are like together. And it's a very like unifying, hurrah kind of moment. This is not like that. And I am very curious to see how Aemond will be towards Aegon. Like, because as you mentioned, Aegon goes right back to belittling Aemond, similar to their dynamic in season 1. And even the earlier parts of season 2, prior to the attack. So I am curious to see, is Aemond just going to be like Aegon's little B? Like, is he just going to be like, I'm sorry, brother, like, I'm with you. I apologize.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's dynamic that little brother, older brother dynamic is going to stick for Aemond. It just doesn't feel like it. I also don't know if he's fully away from from Alice as much as you think. I feel like yes, he is. He would follow his brother to their plan, which is go to Darren / Ormond, put the foot down on them because they're going crazy according to Aegon, and then we ride all together, Hightower strong, towards King's Landing. I feel like Aemond would, of course, be part of that, run, that quest. But he does still seem very loyal to Alice. I wonder how that dynamic will play out. I'm just very curious to see what is Aemond's personality going to give off in season 3. I don't know if he's going to, or season 4. I don't know if he's going to stick with this dejected attitude 24/7, especially when Vhagar returns. Spoiler alert, we didn't see Vhagar at all this episode. She ended up being gone this entire season. Budget constraints.
All the budget went to Tumbleton and the Battle of the Gullet.
So she'll be back, but like it is very it's very fascinating how again Daemon leaves Harrenhal feeling stronger than ever before, unified with his wife. We're together strong. Aegon and Aemond belittles Aemond again. Aemond apologizes, and they're together, but are they together strong? It is very interesting, especially because. As far as much as Rhaenyra is so worried about the ascension of Aegon, he has risen. Aegon's at half health. He's at 1 HP game-wise. Like, Sunfire's a zombified dragon. Aemond's, like, feeling dejected and lost. But he's Aemond. He's super skilled there. And Vhagar is at full health. So, it is, like, Aegon has risen, but he hasn't, like... What does he still have yet? The threat of Aegon is much more in name and... word only than what is actually happening in reality. Like in reality is like if Daemon and Caraxes can probably finish these two off right now if they had this knowledge, which makes it so fascinating because everybody in the realm is like, oh, he has risen, but like looking at the state of these two boys, these two like princes and kings, like they're not that strong right now. Vhagar's gone. Like this is your chance to strike still. It is very fascinating.
Yeah, and to on top of all of that, I am wondering how they're gonna deal with the whole Darren situation in season 4, because again, given like all of this stuff with Ormond plotting to put Darren on the Iron Throne, none of this is in Fire and Blood, none of this is in the books. They are, pretty loyal to Aegon, even though he's kind of like disappears from the story a little bit. So getting to see like dynamic between the three of them could be very fun, especially because of how different Darren is to both of them.
I didn't even think about that. My dad, the first thing he texted me last night was like, "Is Darren dead? Where did he go?" And I'm like,
"No, I don't know. Nobody, no dead.
Nobody, no dead." Of course. By the way, Gwen's still alive. Let's go.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. That is very fun. That's very, very fun because this dynamic. I was just talking about how. Aegon is so like full of life now. He is like in his head, he is back. Even though he again is at 1 HP, he's still limping. Even when he was hobbling over to Aegon, he was like, or Aemond, he was like, "I'm gonna get you, brother." Like it was very, very funny, very comical. He doesn't have a lot of strength behind him. Even Sunfire is very weak in battle still. But Daemon has Tessarion, which is a smaller dragon than even Sunfire. And Darren has a very opposite personality. This whole episode, this whole Ormond arc for the past second half of the season, we have seen Darren slowly become the antithesis to Ormond, right? Like I will come to the battle. I want to join the battle. I want to leave my men. Even though Ormond is the one to call him daring, Darren, is actually daring for wanting to stick by his men. Even though he did leave this carnage. No qualms against that. But like their personalities do have a stark difference. And I do wonder how how that dynamic would change. But I feel like Darren, as we mentioned last week, where he said like, I wouldn't mind like not having this title forced upon me. I don't want this title. I don't want it. So it'll be very interesting to see Darren, not surprisingly bend the knee to Aegon. Anything that gets the pressure off of him, but Darren is still loyal to his family. So I just jumbled along a lot of different things, but it is very interesting. I do want to see this trio. Gwaine. Imagine Gwaine, Daron, Aemond, Aegon, all in the same room together. It just seems very, very enticing and fun to watch if it happens at all. But yeah, because I assume Daron went to Old Town. Excuse me. I assume Daron went to Old Town, and I assume what's it called? Aegon will not be soon far behind to go back home where it all began.
Okay, just a little.
Okay, what's up, Bob? Cat Driver 6930. The show has been hamstrung by the 2-episode cut HBO decided to make in season 2 and then get in season 3, meaning we're effectively missing 4 hours of initially planned development. I do agree, 10 episodes would make things better. He also goes on to say the biggest issue for minor characters and subplots like Hugh, Bela, Alan, Adam, Aemond, Roddy the Ruin, Alicent, Blackwood, Daron, etc. It's a damn shame and so frustrating. I agree. Some of those arcs are still very interesting to me, but yeah, I agree. I mean, more episodes would always be a great thing for this show. Even if you get the occasional quote unquote slow/filler episode, you
we
still
love
get
those episodes.
We love those episodes, right? Like they're still character driven. I could have loved more stuff from Aemond and Alice. I would have loved more stuff with Roddy the Ruin. Just more Black Alley, more perspective shots. I didn't mind it because even though I totally agree with Edgar, they're not really cool characters. They're still really cool to watch, and Game of Thrones always makes those characters get great payoffs. But especially Hugh this season, I was expecting more from Hugh, especially being on Dragon Seed Watch. I was surprised Ulf got a lot of meaningful development, while Hugh was kind of just decent, just solid stuff. We'll get to it with his wife. But yeah, don't get us started on Rhaenyra.
I love how almost every single character had at least one moment in the show. In this episode, even Alicent in one of the last scenes of the season, no mention of Rhaenyra. no, nothing about it.
But yeah, looking at Bob Cat Driver 6930, looking at your comment, yeah, I can name a couple of fun things from each character this season. At least they had a scene that was dedicated to them. While again, the Rhaenyra stuff is not so much. But yeah. Do
you want to talk about what the little, I guess, secret you could say that Alice has been keeping? So we essentially learned that Alice Rivers is the queen, the wife of Harren the Black, who built Harrenhal before Aegon came over and burned the whole place down. I think this is like really cool, like almost like Arthurian legends type of shit. The idea of having this character who went through this like very traumatic experience, trying to learn witchcraft, or whether she was a witch before or not or whatever, trying to practice that type of witchcraft on one of her children and kind of backfiring and like making her immortal, kind of almost as a form of karma. Like it's again like it's very like Arthurian legends, and like I really immediately, like, even though you can make the argument that sometimes it's better to like not really go and explain everything about a character, about a storyline, that maybe the mystery is more interesting. I think in this case, like, really, really cool. And it's also just funny the fact that Aemond has been kind of reluctant about really embracing Alice, and the minute that he learns that she's like this older motherly woman, he's like, okay, I'm into it now. What do you think of it?
He's like, you're singing my tune. I do love me some older women. Hello, 100. Okay, shit. Oh shit. Okay, cool. I like this. So that's really, really cool. But yeah, very, very cool backstory. I really liked this. I love the trope of a character revealing backstory without saying, like, once upon a time, not long ago. Like, she didn't have to say all that. She was talking about herself in third person, and it's up to the audience to. By the third sentence, people are like, "Oh, wait a second! She's talking about herself here. This is what her own backstory, her own tragic, cursed backstory about trying to revive her only son using magic." I love when she mentioned, like, magic from the forest, right? Like Children of the Forest-esque stuff here going on, like magic from other realms, other places. So that was very fascinating on her end. I would have loved, speaking about like, having 2 extra episodes. I was envisioning like, what if we saw something along the lines of
Like a cold
um
opening of an episode with her, like her backstory a little bit.
exactly, Edgar, like a cold open. Like I think back to OG Game of Thrones where I don't know if it was a cold open, but like we opened with Cersei's backstory when she was a little girl, when she went out in the woods and met that witch and gave her the prophecy or whatever. Like I would have loved to see that from Alice's perspective of like, oh, this young girl with black hair, and the audience is wondering like, who is this? Like, what's going on here? Oh, she gave birth. She can't save her own son. She's desperate for magic. Then she's cursed to live forever, basically. But then like we zoom out and she's helping Aemond, and it's like, oh wait, shit, this is about her, and that's her life. That was her backstory. That would have been really cool. But again, I do like the dynamic between them, and I like seeing the that look of caring, the caring look in Eamon's face. Like he really understands and feels that way. Like he understands what she's going through. And it was just a very fascinating reflection on Eamon's face. Again, going full circle with their arc in a very nice way. How they started off saying, like when she was first healing him, saying, we're both cursed. Like, let's help each other out. And he was still like, a little disparate towards her. But now they have grown closer together. They have battled off thieves, battled off Alicent, and they have come together. And it's an oddly sweet moment amongst all this chaos this episode.
Yeah, I wonder how much of this was mapped out a while ago, because it will be interesting to go back to season 2 and watch some of her stuff with Daemon and having this in perspective now. It does make sense now why she's felt so entitled to Harrenhal all this time, all along, because it is her home. Her husband built it for her and their legacy, their family, and like again, like I remember like in episode 1 of this season we were talking about like what are actually her motivations for wanting Harrenhal. Now we know.
Now we know. Like I think we literally asked, or at least I did. I asked that same question like 2 episodes ago. I'm like, why did? Because it was an episode where she was giving off the dragon next to Aemond. I was like, why is she trying so hard for Aemond to stay here? Why is she so? Why does she covet this decrepit old cursed castle so much? What's really compelling her here with Aemond and this whole arc in general? Now we know, and it's a very fascinating backstory, and it all again comes full circle in a very cool way.
Yeah, and like I don't know if this is something that maybe came from George before his breakup with Ryan, or if it's just like something that Ryan came up with. Look at this.
Yeah, look at this. Hello, we have a third person here.
A faceless man.
Alive.
What's up, Josh?
I just wanted to come in and say this season's really good, and y'all are doing a good job with these weekly episodes.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
Thanks, Dad.
Real quick, I only have like a few minutes.
Yeah, go off.
What's your takes?
Oh, we love this episode. We loved it. We were talking about Aemond and Alice and Aegon, just that whole scene right now, and it's fantastic. This was I think a great season in general. I've had a good time.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more frustrated, but again, like I can't really blame Brian and the writers for something that happened last season that was out of their control. They're kind of having to do what they can with what they have, with what they were given. But even with my little frustrations with the show, I think it's been pretty damn solid. Whenever this show locks in, it's like some of the best stuff that you've seen from this universe. We'll talk about it in a minute, but the stuff with Rhaenyra, even though we were like kind of like we were really into it, but admitting that there's like some bumps in the road, the end point of where we end up with her in this season, fantastic, incredible.
I was really impressed with the direction of the episode last night, especially during the Battle of Tumbleton. Like, there's some really cool shots in there. The way, the shot of the far shot of the battle approaching, and like very like zooming out into the wall and the people in the wall. I think was really cool. And for a show that like doesn't really had like do flashy stuff like that, I think it was really cool to see. I think Ramin is going off this season. The themes are great.
Yeah.
The little like rhythmic stuff he does towards the beginning of this episode was really cool. As we're like, getting to like action and everything converging. The show's great. I still think season 1's my favorite. I think it's one of the best seasons of Thrones ever.
Yeah.
This season, I think I prefer it to season 2, honestly. I think like sitting with Rhaenyra, struggling with the power for the whole season, I think was really great. I think my main issue was just why start it like that. I think
season 2.
Yeah,
I know. I think episode 2 of this season should have been the premiere. I think that would have been a great like premiere to lock me in. I binged the whole season last week, so I think if it was if season 2 was the first episode, I probably would have been locked in every week to week. But I thought the first episode was like pretty mid, honestly.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah,
but yeah, I think great show.
I'm with you. I think I have to listen to Ramin's soundtrack for this season because I've liked it overall, but I haven't listened to it like solo. Like, let me just lock in and listen to the whole OST in general. But yeah, I still think season 1 is probably like near perfect. It's so great. And then season 3 is right up there. I think it's definitely my second favorite now for sure.
Yeah, I think the best filmmaking of the show, you can find that in season 2 and season 3. I think the best storytelling, just because of also just how ambitious it is, season 1, of like all of these time jumps, and it's not confusing at all. I think that's why it also elevates that season for me.
It does it really well too, and like you're automatically like engrossed into each version of these characters as we go through the years in season 1. It's just really impressive. But yeah, I like season 3 a lot. I think episode 3 it was. We're just like. It's like they do like the Sorkin walking shot for a moment in that episode. It's fucking
yeah.
It's a Succession episode in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. I was listening to the score last night. I didn't finish it, but I was going through Ramin's like catalog. This man fucking score Mercy this year. What is this man gonna do?
Bro's working.
That's crazy.
He's taking every job, just like Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, but I'll let you guys get back to the nerdy talk. As I leave, I'll say fuck Wolf.
See you later, man. Peace out.
So we were talking about Alice and Aemond. Is there anything else that you wanted to tackle, or that we
not really? I'm just excited for me. I love my Greens. I'm excited for what the Hightowers can bring next season. We only have 8 episodes left, and I'm curious to see how Daemon, Aegon, Aemond team up. What can they muster up together now that he has quote unquote risen? What's next for the Greens, especially after this battle of Tumbleton, where Ormond, who was spearheading a large amount of the Hightower army, is now dead. So one half of Daemon's or Aegon's plan to take care of Ormond is now gone. That's off the plan book. So now he just has to reel in Daemon, and according to him, then head to King's Landing. But I assume there's going to be more bumps along the road for the Greens that we're yet to see. And then lastly, their mom. We haven't seen much of Alice in this episode at all. We just get word that she gets the ill omen of Helena's death. But besides that, does she go back to King's Landing and then leave to go with her sons? Or is she stuck there for the rest of season 4? Are we going to get an echo of season 3 in season 4 for her arc? I expect her to do more than she had to do this season. Not faulting her. It's just like, hey, not much we can do when you're stuck inside King's Landing. In one room. But like, I am curious to see what she gets up into as well. Because it is tragic. Helaena was the last bastion of good hope for her. But now her 2 sons are on the up and up. And how is she going to react to that? Especially after trying to kill one of them. So it is a bit messy for the mother of the Hightowers right now, for Alicent. But besides that, let's what's the other part of the storyline that we can dive into next? Are we going to Rhaenyra or Tumbleton?
Whichever you want to, because honestly, these are like kind of like very embedded. Exactly. But I mean,
I prefer Rhaenyra.
Yeah, Tumbleton is more busy, so we can start with Rhaenyra.
Let's start with Rhaenyra, which gives us like kind of, from here on in, we can kind of be a bit more chronological because Tumbleton is more so the second half of the episode in its entirety, with some jump cuts. But overall, I'm a big fan of Rhaenyra this entire season. Emma Darcy has been delivering fabulous work, and this episode in particular was some of their best work. It was extremely engrossing, extremely engaging, and see the tragically slow descent into darkness for Rhaenyra. The makeup, the bags under her eyes, the decisions she makes this episode. It's really good, really great stuff. And the only bumps along the road for me with this arc has been like I was promised more so Mazaria versus Daemon for Rhaenyra's control, but never really played out like that in execution. But overall, her solo arc has still been really well written, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's funny that we were talking about this in our group chat again, and yeah, just going back to some of the stuff that George had written about his issues with the show, and he mentioned Helaena and how that character doesn't really have much of a reason to do the thing that she does later in this episode. This episode starts with her literally being like waterboarded food by Rhaenyra. Very very tragic. It again, like I think I talked about this a little bit a few episodes back, but at its core, this really is like a family tragedy, and it's a tragedy in the sense that it's being fought amongst a family that don't even really know each other. Like
Yes.
one of the cool things that we said that we liked about the season is that we're finally getting to see Rhaenyra interact with Helaena, either with other people in the room like Allison or just by themselves. Um, but yeah, like getting the last no 2 weeks ago with episode 6, before Allison goes on her journey to Harrenhal, we talked about like that very ominous way that Emma Darcy reads her line of like, "Oh, I'll watch over her." When Allison says like, "Oh, well, what's gonna happen to Helaena if I leave?" Well, well, now Allison is gonna come back to a mess, as
Yes.
usual whenever she leaves King's Landing and comes back.
Yeah, she should never leave at this point.
Yeah, but no, yeah, like it's just like very very tragic, and just like that back and forth. We saw it last week about like Rhaenyra asking for answers about the prophecy, and Helena is like, dude, that's not how it works. And then in this week we get to see Helena challenge Rhaenyra in a way that we haven't even really seen her challenge anyone on the show. Not even like Aegon or some other people that have like run her. um that entire like little speech that she goes on about all the things that you care about are ugly. The things that you do are ugly. You yourself ugly. Again, like Fia Saban is like killing it in the show, and I'm really really sad that she's gone, and I saw it coming. But yeah, just like very tragic, and you add on top of the fact that she's being treated the way that she's being treated by Rhaenyra, even though Rhaenyra is convinced that she's doing her a favor. And then you add on top of the fact that they're basically incarcerated in King's Landing. She can't really see her daughter and her unborn son. What real future does he have? Not really, not one. So as we track her down in this episode, and she eventually does what she does, to me it just makes sense. It is very different from the book. She is like way more depressed, but like the depression in an in her storyline in Fire and Blood comes more from a side of brutality, because I guess we can get into it now that
Go ahead.
now
Yeah.
that now that her arc is it's finished. But back when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, I don't know if you remember, but one of the King's Guard that was loyal to the Greens, that was specifically loyal to Allison, that we saw in season 2 in that one episode where she goes into the forest and she's just like chilling, and then she only took like one King's Guard, like this older guy.
Yes.
So in the book, he helps take Maelor out of the city, and they kind of like make it a little bit far away to this little place that is owned by the Blacks, called Bitterbridge. And in here, he encounters a bunch of small folk. They recognize him, and eventually they recognize Maelor. They kill the Kingsguard, whose name is Sir Rickard Thorne. They kill him, and then they're kind of like wondering what to do with the kid, with Maelor. There's, in the way that Fire and Blood is written, there's like multiple accounts. One of them is like there's this woman among the small folk who is kind of insane in have you seen Misery, like the Stephen King? Okay, kind of in that way of like, oh, I'm gonna take this kid and he's gonna be my new son. And then one of the takes on how he dies is that she's like hanging on to him so much that she breaks his neck and he dies. So that's one. And then the second one is a fight breaks down and eventually he dies. And then the third one is just that the small folk just like rip him apart basically. But in all of the versions he dies in a very sad and brutal way, and eventually it gets to Helaena. And there's two takes within the context of her death in Fire and Blood. One of them is she dies because of the depression that is caused by everything that's been happening, specifically, obviously, the blood and cheese of killing Jaehaerys, and then now what happens with Maelor in the book. Which maybe you can understand now why maybe George was a little bit, not even a little bit, he was like mad about like cutting the character. Because it is a pretty brutal thing that happens that is done kind of like in Rhaenyra's name. Which makes her look a little like worse in Fire and Blood. Because eventually when they take back the body to King's Land, they lay it on her feet, and again, two versions. One of them she's like starts crying, and the other one she's like smiles. But yeah, so like going back to
who smiles?
Rhaenyra.
Okay. Yeah.
And going back to Helena's death. So the first one is that she just commits suicide, and then the second one is that Rhaenyra has a role to play in her death. Either Mysaria kind of like tells or does something to, suicide with Helaena, but like not really. She's not like, it's not like she does it herself. It's like somebody actually like pushes her out of the window. So it's those two versions in Fire and Blood, like, and the whole stuff with Maelor. So I like that in the show. It's kind of like a combination of everything. Because Mysaria does have a role to play in her death in the show, given what she tells her as she's like being kicked out of the Red Keep, of like, hey, they're never gonna let you out of this. And even though she doesn't say like, oh, like you should kill yourself, like obviously that's not the intent that she had when she told Helaena that, but it's something just like it's just adding up more stuff in Helena's head to deal with. So I like that Mysaria kind of does have a small role to play in her death in the show. And also, Rhaenyra didn't push her, didn't like murder Helaena physically, but she did push her to that breaking point emotionally.
For sure.
So again, I think the way that they've handled Helaena in the show overall has just been like really fantastic. And it's a little bit more also tasteful, I guess you could say, than either the book or even something, people have compared this to like the way that Tommen dies in Game of Thrones in season 6, where it's like a very like shock value moment of, just like that wide shot of the window and him eventually walking out. But like this is a little bit more like, again, tasteful, I guess you could say. So
I mean, I feel like this one is much more
sad.
If you want to compare it to Tommen, it's much more sadder. But like I feel like we understand it more than like Tommen. Granted, Tommen was a character that lost a lot of control. He never really wanted control, and then he just committed suicide. It's like, okay, I get it. But yeah, it's more so shock value, even though everybody in the audience understood what happened.
But I thought she committed suicide just because.
No.
Yeah.
That's what George R. Martin said, Evan.
Oh, what are you talking about? Yeah. I mean,
I just want to come back and apologize, and this is why I'm on these shows.
Do you know how to leave this time?
Yes, goodbye.
Bad for life.
He quits it again. But yeah, what's it called? I understand Helena's dissent a lot here. We talked about it every week. It's just that people don't know how to, grapple and discuss TV. It's a
media literacy.
It's a media literacy thing once again, because it makes a lot of sense here. And like, I think it was so fascinating that on rewatch a little bit, like, part of the tapestry is like her her tablet that she was making, it was like over the window. So it doesn't seem like, it's less so like a Tommen thing where, you go and just jump out. It could have been like she was just trying to escape and then
and then it's an accident. Yeah,
it's an accident. Like it doesn't seem like, you know what, I'm out. Like it was an accident. She was trying to escape. Mazaria, as you said, mentioned like you are in a cage, which Helaena has known since episode 3. Like she is locked in. She can't do much.
But it's just a constant reminder of it. Yeah.
And the security has gotten tighter over the season. She tries to escape. And what do we hear the following episode? Oh, okay. Now you can't go to the Godwood. Now you can't go outside. Now you have to be stuck in this room. Like we see the increased pressure over time, which elevates her feelings of isolation, feelings of desperation, the feeling that she has to leave. Remember, there were multiple opportunities for Helaena to leave earlier in the season from Alicent. Like, hey, we got to leave Jaehaera, but we can leave out this way. Oop, we got to leave. Your son might have to die, but there's a way that we can leave, that we can still have control.
Drink the moon tea.
Drink the moon tea, right? But every step of the way, Helaena didn't want to lose control. She want to. I mean, not that she's like a power hungry thing. She still wanted to have ownership, self determination, basically. Like she wanted to decide her own fate. She wanted to decide her fate of her children, which goes back to what you said, blood and cheese of it all, which is why I like the show's version. Like, she wanted to have control of her own fate, even in that horrific and crazy scenario, pointing to Jaehaera or Jaehaerys, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I like that because even in that dark moment, she still decided like, okay, I am able to make a choice here. And
a small moment of agency, yeah.
Exactly, a super small moment of agency, and we see that here at the end, where it's like she still has that agency, she still has the capability to want to leave. It's just so that tragically she falls and is never. She's the bird that's never able to escape the birdcage. The birdcage has increasingly become shrunken and shrunken and shrunken. She tries to leave and tragically fails, and it's just like, man. And as you mentioned, it is a great encapsulation effect of Rhaenyra's arc this season. Of like, how does Rhaenyra's arc affect people outside of herself? We see it with Baela. We see it with Helaena. We see it with Alan. Like that's why it makes this arc so good. Is that like, yes, we see how it's singularly affecting Rhaenyra. That's plain as day. But we're also seeing how it affects the people around her, the people that she used to think were her closest people, her own family. And that makes it so delicious and so cool.
Yeah. And another aspect that I really enjoyed about the Helaena arc in the season, and even season 2 to an extent, and the show doesn't really draw attention to it, but it's definitely there if you want to read it like that. Helaena is basically living the life that Rhaenyra would have lived in another life, of just being the queen to somebody's king, like, type of thing. But not just in that sense, but also there are in parallel tracks in a sense. Rhaenyra definitely has more agency and has more of a say over her life and how she wants to rule, as opposed to Helaena ever did in the show. But both of them have very like striking similarities. Both of them lose children. Both of them, Helaena doesn't go through a miscarriage, but she is constantly like being taunted with the idea of having one.
Yeah.
And you get that compare and contrast moment now where in another life, Rhaenyra would have ended up where Helaena ends up if she would have been consumed by all of this stuff, by like her grief. And to an extent, she is consumed because the only way that Rhaenyra gets to the point that she gets by the end of the season 3 is because of the grief of Luke and Jace and Rhaenys, and everything that she has lost, Viserys, to get to the moment that she is right now. But with Helaena, just again, like we just said, like it's just a much more sadder reality of where Rhaenyra could have ended up.
For sure. And to escalate all of that, what I liked about their back and forth, the whole ugly speech, it ends off with the ghost of Viserys, which has fascinatingly been talked about nearly every single episode. Given
he's invoked a lot in this episode, yeah.
And I love that so much. If we talked about it in, I think every single episode, the way she was looking at Viserys's like tapestries episode ago, the whole cut on her hand last week or so, like the way she's talking to the people, the way in episodes 4 and 5 that she wanted to emulate Viserys by trying to help the people of King's Landing, not be super expansionist. But each step of the way, she has grown increasingly more frustrated with the ghost of Viserys in a way that is so fascinating for a father she deeply looked up to. But when she finally has this position and wanted to emulate him, to continue the pledge that she made to her father and that her father made to her, she's continuing to be reminded about his failures. Like, and whenever in contrast to her being like, I want to be like Viserys, she's increasingly frustrated over what Viserys has done to put her in such a horrible no-win scenario. Even Corlys talks about it, like this realm will never accept a queen. That's been the theme since episode 1, season 1. But like, and that just goes into Rhaenyra's arc in general this season. The way she was thrust into an impossible situation. She's broke. She has no money. And then it really escalates by she's making all these bad decisions within these horrible, impossible situations, which only escalates a darker turn, one that is much more closer to Daemon than Mysaria or Viserys. It's just, it's so fascinating.
Yeah. And just to wrap the Helaena here so we can retransition back to Rhaenyra, fully focus on her.
Yeah.
I do like that we kind of like talked about, we were trying to decipher what that first vision last week meant.
Yes.
With Helaena. Now we have more context. That is the place where she lands, essentially.
Yeah. She was seeing the sight of her own death, basically. And I like how that orange fire, that gloom kind of pretends to, we talked about it last week, but it was Rhaenyra herself. Like, or fake hope, or that
if she was trying to escape and like sun is like shining through the window type of thing.
Exactly, the sun. Like it's very tragic. It's very sad. But yeah, and I really like the whole Mysaria confrontation because she's like, by the way, don't trust her. Like, if I'm Helaena, I'm like, what? But yeah, it was dark, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, Helaena has consistently been a great character. And also, one last thing is like, I liked how Rhaenyra continually said like, hey, she tried to play the sister angle every single time. We're sisters. Like, come on. And they're kind of like, no, like this isn't going well. Viserys would have hated you. You're ugly. Like, it's like, oh, speaking of Viserys, I hate that motherfucker. Like, it was just so good. Like, you can't keep on playing the family card and then be like, okay, now get force fed. Like, oh god, it was just a bad decision in a horrible situation. Because what can you do to try and like get Helaena healthy again? Give her more freedom, obviously, but like she's still a prisoner. You can't really have that. Like, it's really complicated. Probably not as complicated as we're making it sound, but like, yeah, it is bad. What's so fucked up is like, again, Rhaenyra was like, hey, go kill your son, Aemond, for me. Hey, and Alicent's like, okay, keep my daughter cool, right? And of course, I'm not going to do anything to your daughter. I killed my son. I come back, and my daughter's dead from Alicent's perspective. That's fucked.
And the son is not even dead.
The son's not even dead, and now he's pissed off at you? Yikes. You can't win. I wouldn't be surprised if Alicent, jumps out of a window next season. Like, I don't know how she's going to die, but it's messy, man.
I have an idea of like, I'm not gonna spoil it, but I have an idea of what the last scene of the show could be, and it could like it would be an excellent way to wrap the show. But I'll leave it at that. But yeah, like going back to Rhaenyra and the whole her side of this storyline in the episode, and going back to what you mentioned earlier with Aegon and her freaking out to Daemon about it. My first instinct when I saw her like crashing out to him was like, I love you and you have good intentions, but man, are you bad at this? You're bad at this. Like, it's not even really your fault. It's but like also Viserys' fault. Like he didn't like properly taught you how to be a ruler because he wasn't even a good one to begin with. But my God, girl, like you're you're losing the plot right here. Even Damon is like, what now with this woman type of thing? What is she crying about? And again, I love her and I understand where she's coming from, but like, you're making yourself look weak in front of all of these people because you can only assume that she started crying once like Maester Orwell told her, and she was like crying all the way to like Damon's room.
Yeah. This is a long
my
trek.
option. That's a long. Well, maybe they're like next to each other. I don't know. But yeah, like man,
it was bad because again, Damon's not wrong. He responds with like, we have all the power in this scenario, even though Aegon is risen. But but I get her emotions, right? This whole season, she's been battling not just the people, not just Ormond. Ormond is fighting with her a battle of legitimacy. Like she is trying to fight within herself. I am ordained, right? Like this is my path, right? Like she's having slight inner doubts. Any step of the way, she's getting reminded that she's the queen of bastards, that she's not the rightful queen. Now there's Daron. Now there's Ormond. Okay, I got this handled. We're going to Tumbleton. We're gonna finish this. I'm gonna go to the Sept. We're so close. We're so close to getting
now
final
Aegon is
true
back.
legitimacy. Now Aegon's back, yeah. So it's just like now I'm fucked again. And in her mind, she starts crying because is this fate? Is it fate that I'm not supposed to be here? I'm just following what my father really wanted. I'm following what my father put down for me. But is my father wrong? Am I wrong? Am I not fit to rule the kingdom? Is the world, is reality telling me that it's just not for me? And similar to how Helaena said, you see ugly. While in contrast to this beetle seeing things as beautiful. And I love how Rhaenyra was like, oh, yeah. That's me, right? No, you see ugly. And I think in to extrapolate that some more, she sees everything, Rhaenyra, she sees everything as like bad, as a bad omen. It's just against me. Instead of looking at it, it's a classic glass half full, glass half empty. She's looking at worst case scenario, glass half empty at every turn. She can't see the hope. She can't see the silver lining. And that goes into this scenario here. She can't see the superiority of her own side, but she's looking at glass half empty. Like this is worst case scenario. And it kind of, what's it called? It kind of pushes her to go down this even darker path. If everybody's against me, if the world is against me because Aegon has risen and this whole religious zeal behind Aegon has risen, a usurper has risen in her mind. It's like, if the world is against me, I got to do everything in my power, which I do have a lot of power. I am ordained. I got to do everything in my power to fight that, to fight the thing that is against me by fostering the religious zeal that her father forced upon her. Again, we talked about this. This goes all the way back to where we started at the very beginning of the show. The cursed nature of the prophecy, whatever it's called, the prince that was promised prophecy, right? Like it's a hopeful thing where it's like, what were you saying?
So the Song of Ice and Fire. I mean.
Song of Ice and Fire, exactly. Like this thing is supposed to be a hopeful thing for the Targaryens. Like that's us. We're here to unify the empire,
and it is. But in the ears of other people, it sounds like you're a lunatic.
Exactly, and even in the ears of Rhaenyra and Daemon, it's like oh, this is us supposed to unite the people. But like those two, Rhaenyra and Daemon, in this episode, in this season, as Targaryens with 6 dragons. They feel like, okay, we're going to do everything in our power to force this to happen instead of like, having it naturally through peace and through, whatever. It's just like, no, it turns into fascism. I am your savior. I am the only way to get us out of this darkness. Like, and I love in the behind the scenes when they were talking about the fascism, because it is like that. And we'll get into it more with the speech, but she is really trying to become her own answer. Because the world is telling her no, but she realizes, like, yes, I am the reason. I am the answer. And she's forcing it. She is making it happen by cutting off everything that is in her path, even her closest friends, even her closest family. It's like, you're in my way. Get out of the way. I don't want to see you. I don't want to talk to you. Goodbye, Mysaria. Goodbye, Baela. Goodbye, Helaena. You're going to like, it's dark, but it makes sense in her own warped mind.
Yeah. Like it is like very much like Paul Atreides, Anakin Skywalker kind of arc here that we've been like tracking, that will continue to spiral even more so.
Oh, what's so
Next season.
fascinating? It's like for Paul, like wasn't Paul? I haven't read the books, and I have the whole Dune trilogy. It's very, very similar to this show. I have the books, I just have not read it. But like, didn't they force that prophecy on his mom? Right, something like that. Like,
Yeah.
decided death for
So
it.
yeah. So like the idea is that Jessica was supposed to give birth to a daughter, and she decided to give birth to a boy, to Paul, because she thought like, oh, I can be the one who gives birth to the chosen one, to the Lisan al Gaib or whatever. In a moment of either arrogance or genuine love that she had for Leto, which is the reason why she chose to give birth to a boy, because her grandson, the child that the female Paul would have had with what's his face, fucking Austin
Oh, Faye Rafa.
Faith Rata, yeah, like they were supposed to be married, and they were supposed to give birth to the actual chosen one. um
Oops.
but she decided to give birth to the boy, and like the prophecy maybe came a little bit too early. And obviously it's not real. Like, he's not the chosen one. He's just like trying to fulfill a prophecy that it's not his to fulfill. It is his children's prophecy to fulfill.
That's so
Um,
cool, and that's
and
so
it,
close to this show too. That's so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and it's true for this year. Like, this is not a Rhaenyra's prophecy to fulfill, or her children, or even her grandchildren. It will be like her grandchildren. So yeah, I really like all of that. But I think that one of the things that this episode sets up that I absolutely loved was there's this character in the story that kind of like comes in a little bit over halfway through the dance. Um, we they don't nobody really knows his name. They just call him the shepherd. And this character is essentially, I don't want to say the High Sparrow on steroids, but I could almost get there, comparing like the High Sparrow from Game of Thrones. This like highly religious guy who comes in and he's like, "Oh, what the monarchs are doing is wrong and it's sinful, or whatever." But it's dialed. I feel like it's a little bit dialed all the way up to 11, in Fire and Blood, because he's just like so anti magic and like doesn't like the idea of having the dragons around, and that's an idea that has been presented by the members of the faith, by like the High Septon in the season, like back in season, not back in episode 3, in the Rhaenyra focus episode. So now that Rhaenyra commits all of these war crimes of going against the faith and going honestly kind of like against the people, even though she thinks in her head that she is for the people, she eventually kills the Pope of this world.
Oof.
Not a good look, even though like it is a little satisfying to see, because A, that guy was an asshole. B, you're the actual traitor, because even you say that Aegon is the male one that should be ruling. Say what you want about like if Viserys changed his mind last minute, like publicly he declared Rhaenyra twice, not once, twice, to be
Exactly.
his heir. And then see, I just don't like the fucking the religion of the seven. It's like so fabricated and fake. But yeah, like again, like it's not a good look just overall. And there's just so much going on. There's the people seeing Rhaenyra commit these crimes, go against the faith. People will see this, and eventually it might just get word back to the shepherd, which will be introduced sometime next season. But also you just get you mentioned it earlier. We get the dark turn of Alan, maybe potentially even like before this. The way that he talks to like the Valerian man,
Yes.
in a very dismissive way towards Corlys's fate. I don't want to say that he doesn't care whether he lives or dies, because I think he does. But there is a part of like he is starting to be like corrupted by the idea of gaining power, and the fact that he presents himself as like, oh, like you're talking to his oldest living son, the heir to Driftmark type of thing, even though he's not even legitimized. Again, I really love how all of these characters are corrupting Rhaenyra. They're being corrupted by Rhaenyra, and they're like just like digging their own grave in a sense. And he's the one who does the deal with killing the High Septon and stuff like that. And I think this entire sequence is just great.
It's great. Yeah. I loved a lot of what Alan said. Yeah. For somebody who in season 2 who comes across as like, I don't want it. Like, he was really pushing aside his past. He was pushing aside his family, his legitimacy, his lineage. He just wanted to be a sailor, working the ships. But now that he has power, and now that he was a knight, he was knighted. Then he was put on the council. Like, we've seen the slow step, the slow increase in power for Alan. And I like that, as you mentioned, he's getting corrupted by her as well. Like, this is a corrupting everything and everyone around Rhaenyra. And you're either going to be pushed aside or you're going to succumb to it. And we've seen Alan succumb to it, where in episode 1 here, at least for this season, he risks his life to save Corlys. And now, the very end, he kind of tosses him aside. Not fully aside, as you mentioned, he fully cares about Corlys.
I think he's very much in the middle still. He hasn't been fully corrupted, but he's getting there.
And I think either he mentions it or Rhaenyra mentions it, but it's like, he made his bed. He made his bed. And this is why I like a lot of the Alan and Corlys scenes that we gotten seeded throughout the season. The one scene Corlys had with Alan before Corlys got kidnapped, Alan was the one saying like, hey, come back to King's Landing. Alan was the one to talk to him, trying to convince him one last time, hey, come back to King's Landing. But Corlys was feeling in his feels, being like, nah, I gotta stop the pirates. I gotta do more outside of here. I don't belong in there. Son, you go there instead. Alan really took that to heart, and he helped Rhaenyra with the whole cat solution, stuff like that. Like, he's figuring out, like, I am helpful here. I can do my good stuff here. And you know what? It feels good to be in power. And yeah, so it's like he's having this bigger command. And yeah, it is tragic that he is the one to kill the High Septon. I thought it was going to be Rhaenyra herself, but the way she like whispers in his ear,
in a very seductive way.
Almost. This was like Scarlet Witch in Age of Ultron, where she's like whispering in Captain America's ear, like it's like, what's going on? Like, it's very, very creepy and ominous. And he's just like, okay, like you are part of old Valyria, and he's just like,
hell yeah,
sure, I forgot I am. Yeah, you're right. Okay, and just like takes the High Septon down. But yeah, I'm with you, Edgar. This guy is a bitch. Let's call it. Let's do spade for spade. Like, this guy was just not racist. He was just sexist. He was just fully sexist against Rhaenyra, and he was completely biased against Rhaenyra as well. Sexist, bias. He was really just for the Greens. Aegon has risen, so this means even more that you aren't queen. Princess? Who the fuck you think you are calling her a princess? I would have cut his head off if I was Daemon. Like, come on, get out of here. Goodbye. We don't need you anymore. I'm ordained by the dragons. Again, not a great look. I was watching it being like, not good. But he deserved it. He deserved it. I just know that this is going to have, like, again, like killing the Pope has consequences. This will have consequences. And I like how you mentioned, like, she thinks she's doing this for the people. That has been a thing since the jump. Let me feed the people. Let me raid the rich to feed the people. This is what I want to do. This is what Viserys would have done. And it's what Mysaria wants to happen too. Everybody's happy. In this way, she's also thinking this is for the people. The people need to hear this. People need to know that I am their person. And I thought she was going to lie to them. The door is closed. Nobody really knows what happened besides Rhaenyra and her people. I thought she was going to lie and say, like, the Sept has declared me queen, guys. Like, wouldn't you believe it? I guess I'm ordained now. But no. The crazy part is that, like, she flat out says, he's dead. And everybody's like, oh, shit. Like, they just have to take that in, like, oh, okay, he's dead. But they can't even soak it in because she just goes on into a big
She says like something even more insane than killing the Pope.
Exactly. This is it made it so, like, comical but dark at the same time and tragic, because it's like, okay, our Pope is dead. Okay, thank God. But wait, what? Like, oh, the
zombies
that was promised zombies in the north, but we're in the south. Like, what's going on here? Are we good? Are we in danger? But she's gonna protect us. But I'm still starving. What's happening? Like if I'm in the people, I'm like, what's happening?
Well, I
don't
love
get
when
it.
I love when she like says like the I am the prince who was promised, but in High Valyrian. But
High Valyrian.
even if she had said it in English, I would just imagine like the small focus, like what about like you promising some dinner?
Like, right? Yeah, like how about you promise us some money, some food, some vegetables? Like I can't even like what's going on here? But the fact that she is screaming in Old Valyrian, it's like a foreign. It gives off foreign ruler, which is very meta in terms of like people always discounting like oh, they're not from America. Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It gives off like, oh, this is a foreign ruler. People aren't going to be so receptive to that. On top of her, like if she's battling legitimacy this whole season, to speak in Old Valyrian to the people when you know damn well nobody can understand what you're saying, it's like, wait, what's going on here? Like they don't even know what's going on. They can't understand you. It's like, but she's speaking with such zeal and like such passion. It's just like, okay. But at the same time, it's like this isn't going to win people over. I think it's going to have a more negative, fearful effect. It's just like you're going to get people on your side only based on the feel or the fear alone of all this. Like it is not a good omen. And the people around her, even people close to her, just like side-eyeing. Like I love my guy
Manderley,
Torrin Manderley. No, the black guy,
Orwell. Both of them are looking at each other like, what the fuck is going on? Again, because this is not the first time they've heard about this. They heard about it in the small council too.
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny because it's like, that work meeting and somebody just going off and you're just like, you just want to slide in your chair, but you can't do that because everybody's watching you. And you're just like, that's creepy.
Two things here because I'm not mad that the show hasn't really addressed this because it's mostly something in Fire and Blood, but also it's just mostly more so of a fan theory than actual canon. But there's this idea in the world of Ice and Fire that, have you heard of this concept that we call the Grand Maester conspiracy?
No.
So the idea behind this theory is that that the people from Old Town, all the maesters and the religion of the seven face god, they all got together and plotted at some point during the rule of the Targaryens prior to the dance, to create some kind of conflict or something that would lead to the death of all the dragons, so the Targaryens would lose their power. And I remember back in season 1 when like the main maester, not Orwell, but the older guy, the white guy that is in season 1.
Yes.
Anytime that he came in to check in on Viserys because his flesh is like all fucked up and he keeps getting like worse. Instead of actually trying to fix the problem, it almost seems like they're making it worse on purpose. And I thought that was the show maybe like trying to acknowledge it or maybe getting into it, but like it doesn't actually, they never actually dive into this idea. But I can totally see now, and that maybe it won't be like a direct of like, oh, it was the Grand Maester so alone who really were behind the Dance of the Dragons, because obviously it was a family issue. But one of my gripes with the main show, with Game of Thrones, was the fact that Cersei never suffered consequences for what she did at the end of season 6 of blowing up the scepter and the High Sparrow and everybody from the Faith. Very unrealistic, given that this is a world of characters making decisions and having to suffer the consequences for it. It always bothered me, and it still bothers me to this day. But now, given where Rhaenyra is, where she's essentially doing that exact same thing that Cersei did, but on a much smaller scale. Of instead of like blowing up the place, she just like goes to the person directly and gets rid of it. I can see how like the maesters, the people from the Faith of the Seven, can start to like riled up behind somebody who is insane enough to go against the Targaryen and trying to like spread the word of like how sinful they are. Again, like the character that we're gonna see in season 4 with the Shepherd. I can start to see like some kind of way for Ryan and the writers trying to like adapt maybe that theory of like the Grand Maester conspiracy of all of these people getting behind this guy who has an idea to get rid of the dragons type of thing. So that's gonna be really fun to see there's consequences that Rhaenyra is gonna suffer as a result of what she does in the finale. And also you have to consider like how are people gonna react to the fact that Helaena just died? Like they don't know that she jumped. They don't know if she maybe tried to escape. All for as as long as they know, like maybe fucking Rhaenyra did have somebody throw her off the window. We know that that's not what happened. But again, in the eyes of the people, given that she just gave like this insane speech, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility in their minds for Rhaenyra to do something like that. I think.
Not at
Again,
all.
let's go back to what Otto, pushing this idea when they killed Jaehaerys, like the whole idea of Rhaenyra the Cruel. Now we are starting to get the actual characterization of that.
Yeah, and this episode made it more paramount than ever before. The realm is watching. When Rhaenyra tells Daemon, "Hey, go to Tumbleton, but don't kill everybody there." The realm is watching. Daemon saying, "We can't kill everybody at Tumbleton." The realm is watching. We can't just burn all these children. Like the people are watching, and especially here when she's delivering her speech, like the episode made it so paramount that if the people are watching, the people are going to be the one to continue on these stories. So yeah, it's like from the people's perspective, Helena's dead, a piece of the old regime from Aegon's regime, dead at Rhaenyra's feet, basically the feet of the King's Landing, and then she's delivering this crazy speech that turns a lot of people off. Like Rhaenyra the Cruel is really starting to become a reality. It's very sad to watch because she's trying to become even more legitimate. She's going past signs saying Queen of Bastards when she's in the car there. It's just like she's getting hit with a lot of like insults, and especially from the High Sept himself. And all along the way, she's making all these bad decisions that are going to really affect her image moving forward. More so than anything Ormond ever had to do these past couple of episodes. She's making these decisions that are going to actually delegitimize and harpen doom for herself, all based on her own way that she's reacting to all this. So yeah, it's pretty tragic. So that's Rhaenyra speech. Is there more from Rhaenyra here? What else?
I think the last scene of her by the window.
Oh, the last scene by her by the window was great. It was great because she's walking up the steps initially with her boy Joff. Oh, by the way, we got a lot of Joffrey this episode.
Walking.
He's just walking, doing his thing. Do you think when they were in the carriage, did she continue talking off screen about the prophecy, or has he not fully heard it yet?
No, I think he has, and okay. I think he was probably because he looks like he's like 6, maybe.
Yeah, 6'7".
6'7". But yeah, like he looks at her like, what is this woman talking about again? Because I think the way that Rhaenyra presents the prophecy to him at first in the carriage, she presents it as if it's like the secret. So I can only imagine that if your mom is telling you the secret, and then 30 minutes later she kills a dude, and then she's like, actually, let me tell the secret to everybody and who can hear, like in close proximity. You're like, girl, like, what are you doing? Type of thing.
Yeah. I thought this was just for me.
Yeah, I thought it was just for me. But yeah, that will be interesting because Joffrey does have not a huge, but somewhat of a big-ish role to play during the collapse of King's Landing, and how everybody's just like have had enough of Rhaenyra. The longer her rule goes,
he jumps out a window.
But yeah, like I it'll be fun to see that kid have a big of a meter role. But yeah, like we go kind of already touch on the whole Bela stuff, a little bit more of the same, but still a good scene.
I like this a lot because this is an example of Bela really putting her foot down against Rhaenyra. We saw how caring she was with Rhaena, so I still would have liked a Bela and Rhaena scene to cap things off here. I'm kind of slightly disappointed that we didn't see more from Rhaena this episode. At least, again, Rhaena and Bela. How do you feel now that like you're in the hands of the person that you were afraid of for the whole damn season? Like, we know no resolution. That storyline sucks ass. Anyways, yeah, Bela was really talking smack. So Bela is initially upset about, and the argument is basically about Corlys, right? She was to go search for Corlys.
Or negotiate to like make sure that he is like freed before the battle begins or something like that.
Exactly. And she's basically like, no, Daemon's in charge of that campaign, if Corlys is there, we'll find him. And she's like, he could end up dead before and during after the battle happens. And then she starts ragging on Rhaenyra. I think this is even before the whole ugly speech. And she starts saying how how inconsiderate you are. Is this punishment for what happened to Jace? Like you're like being cruel to everybody that's close around you. I'm like,
the only
wow.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm still here is because you need my dragon. Great
Not
line.
wrong.
But yeah, like this is really interesting. It's also interesting to consider this in relationship to Alan's storyline in this episode, because we have that confrontation between him and Adam, where Adam, again, like maybe he still has like that crush on Bela, but even like crush aside, like he's concerned about somebody who is part of his family. And the fact that I think they imply that Rhaenyra locks Bela up so she doesn't leave the castle with her dragon. Yes. And the way that Alan, even though like they kiss and maybe did more between the two of them, the fact that he's like so dismissive about it because who am I to tell her Grace what to do type of thing. It's really interesting, and I will it'll be like very fun to track this maybe newfound rivalry between the brothers. Maybe we'll see. But again, like we were talking about how like it's not just the fact that Rhaenyra is doing all of these things and they're affecting her, it's affecting everybody around her.
And she's breaking up this whole family. Just flashback to episode 2, where they're all standing by the beach. They just rescued Corlys, and it's like Corlys got the family, got Adam there, you got Bela there. I don't think Alan's in that. Sorry, maybe he is.
No, he is.
So it's like the whole crew is there, and they're all huddled together. And me and you were like, "This is great!" Like the Driftmark squad, they're back together. Let's do this. Cut to the end of the season, just like we saw the fall of Rhaenyra. We're seeing the fall of this dynamic here between Alan and Bela, Alan and Adam. And it's like, man, like Rhaenyra is fracturing a part of this family as well. Because I think Adam's the one asking about like what happened with Bela, Corlys, and Alan's full on. He's on the side of like I'm just following orders kind of thing, which is very not good, historically, of course. And it is a fascinating in a way where I was kind of worried. I was like, is this going to be some kind of weird love triangle going on? But it's much more than that. It much more is seated closely with.
They could still play with that in season 4, but it is more than that, like you mentioned.
It's more closely aligned with like a darker descent alongside Rhaenyra. So it's not as like separate off on the sidelines. It's much more closer to like the main Rhaenyra dark descent storyline, which makes it even more enticing. Because what's going to happen now? What's Alan's future? Is he going to switch sides? Not switch sides, but like is he going to switch mindsets and be convinced by Bela and by Adam? Bela and Adam are two dragon seeds. We just saw what happens when you mishandle a dragon seed with Hugh. Like, what's going to happen when you mishandle Adam and Bela, two other people with nuclear bombs? Which makes it so interesting, because this whole season, Rhaenyra has been like, I'm ordained, not because of the high 7, but because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dragons. I have 6 dragons. But you're mishandling you're mishandling Bela, you're mishandling Adam.
Rhaenyra.
Like, she didn't give a fuck about it. She said kill Sheep Stealer. And we were like, you Sheep Stealer. You're going to need him sooner than later. And it's just like, you're losing your dragons, which were part of your argument, your mathematical equation for why you deserve all this power, because you guys have the numbers. Well, you're mishandling your numbers now. You're being rude to Adam and to Bela, to all. Who knows what's happening with Hugh? You're misusing your numbers. So if you're misusing your numbers, where's your legitimacy coming from now? Where's your power coming from now? Especially as Aegon has risen with the biggest dragon in the world. We're going to need as much numbers as we can get, but you don't even realize it's not even in her mind yet. She thinks everything's under control. Or she's forcing everything to be under control, which is only putting. It's not saving these fractures and these shattered glass. It's just like putting small band-aids, and it's not going to work in the future.
Yeah, and one last thing before we move on from this, and we can go to Tumbleton. The last scene of this episode is Rhaenyra going and finding the not
Yeah.
not Helena's body, but like the lack of a body in the room.
Where's the body?
And she, really cool detail that we get to see. Helena is the one responsible for the tapestry at the beginning of each episode of the opening credits.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, we kind of like figured given how the show has been going, but I really like that moment because there is like two ways that you could read it. The first one being she looks at it, she looks at herself in this tapestry. Very clearly she's either on fire or like bleeding all over the Iron Throne. And she can either read this as, so am I gonna die? Or what does this mean? Like, type of like, is this a bad omen that I'm in the Iron Throne? And I think like I mentioned there's two ways to read it. First one being her like being in denial, and it's like I refuse to acknowledge this, tosses it to the floor and closes the window. Or she sees herself just on the Iron Throne, ignores all the bad signs in the tapestry. She's like, I'm justified for what I just did, and then closes the door. Ultimately, I don't even really think that the answer really matters because she already did what she did, and all of this shit is happening, a lot of it because of her. All of this chaos in the city. So ultimately, I don't think the answer to the question really matters, but I think it's a really fascinating one to think about.
For sure. I had it as like she is content. The first thing she asked Helaena after she realizes that she's a dreamer was that like, where am I in your dreams? Am I ordained? That's been her question all season long, and it's been elevated because of Helena's prophecies or dreams. She finally has physical evidence of such. She skips to the end of the book, and she's like, "Oh wait, I'm on the throne. There's a fallen dragon behind me. There's a lot of red here.
Some orange,
but I'm on the throne." So I feel like she's content with the decisions she had just made in the hours prior. She doesn't even look that shocked or distraught over Helena's death. Her own sister, her sister is Helaena just hours ago. She doesn't even look distraught at her own sister's death, which is so out of character. So I think she closes the window, in my opinion, to be like she's closing off everything else. She feels content with what she's done, and she's closing off because again, all she sees is ugly. She's closing off the ugly. Like she's moving forward with her own decisions. She's forcing her way through. She doesn't want to see like the light. She doesn't want to see all that. She wants to, closing it, becoming darkness herself. Like it's dark. It's dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do like, again, great performance from Emma, because like I was looking for a hint of emotion on there, but there's none to be seen. She's searching for answers constantly. That's the only thing she sees. But yeah, it is. She's closing off any bad intent that might come her way. But yeah, the Battle of Tumbleton here. So Daemon is not part of this main charge in the books.
No. So at this point, I believe there's like a split between the Dragon Riders. They send Daemon and Nettles to the Trident, to the Riverlands, to go find Vhagar and deal with that threat in a little bit up north. And they send Hugh and Ulf to deal with what's happening at Tumbleton.
And they also heard that...
And basically the one in charge of that is Roddy the Ruin.
Okay.
But yeah, so...
I also heard that like Hugh's betrayal is much more steeper in the books than it was even here. It didn't seem like the team here. I mean, he makes a soft betrayal. He's going to have a lot to explain to in episode 1, season 4. Like, if he even goes back to King's Landing, like, it's like I messed up. I tried to go find my wife, and now she's dead. So, oops. Sorry, Daemon. Like, so, what's that going to be like?
Yeah, so a few things about this whole battle. Okay. First off, and I kind of like made a joke about it in our group chat, but this really does feel like Ryan Condal and I think her name is Ty Mickelson or whatever is her name of the second writer of this episode. It really does feel like them flexing, like, oh, let's just redo the bells but make it good type of thing. There's a lot of like similarities, just not like structurally, but like even visually. probably purposeful, just to like connect it to what happens later on in Game of Thrones. But the whole betrayal, it's the title of the episode, the treasons at Tumbleton. I was rereading some passages from Fire and Blood between last week and last night, and one of them that really shocked me that I completely forgot about, and I have it right here in front of me, is they're trying to figure out what to do, how to deal with the rebels across the Seven Kingdoms. Not only the people that chose to side with Aegon, but also the people who are just undecided and are just kind of like waiting around to see who is going to come out victorious.
The goddamn independence.
And I'm just going to read it. Prince Daemon echoed the Queen's misgivings. Giving pardons to rebels and traitors only sowed the seeds for fresh rebellions, he insisted. And then here's a quote: "The war will end when the heads of the traitors are mounted on spikes above the king's gate and not before." That's the line directly that pulled from the book that Daemon tells Wayne, but again in a different context.
Interesting.
And then he goes and saying, Aegon II will be found in time, hidden under some rock, but they could and should bring the war to Aemond and Darren. Again, at this point, Darren is not like a separate, section of the Greens. They're all still like together. And then it says, the Lannisters and Baratheons should be destroyed as well, so their lands and castles might be given to men who have proven to be more loyal. Grant Storm's End to Off the White and Casterly Rock to Hard Hewed Hammer. The prince proposed to the horror of the sea snake. So in Fire and Blood, there's this idea like the blacks aren't really mistreating the dragon seeds like how they are in the show. If anything, it is Daemon's idea of all people to be like, let's just like get these castles away from all of these fuckers and let's give it to these guys who have proven to be loyal, at least up to this point before the Battle of Tumbleton.
So why does Ulf change in the books then?
So that is a bit of of the mystery, because like again, the way that Fire and Blood is reading it's like, oh well, who knows type of thing. But like it is implied that Ulf is the one who turns first in favor of the Greens, and he convinces Hugh to go with him. We don't know what he tells him. We don't know what type of exchange happens between the two that causes both of them to betray the blacks during the first Battle of Tumbleton.
But it just perfect.
But it just happens. There's like this passage. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Where is it? Where is it? I cannot find it, but like there's like this passage where like the entire armies of the Norsemen, the Winter Wolves, the Rivermen, they're all like out at Tumbleton, and then at some point they see Silverwing and Vermithor like on the horizon coming to join the battle. Very similar to how it plays out in the show, where like both sides of the battle are like, where's Ulf? Then eventually Silverwing, they see him on the distance, and everybody starts cheering until he turns against him and like starts burning all the black armies.
Weird. There's not even like a big like turning point for Ulf in the books.
Yeah. Like let me see.
Thank God they made him more of a character here.
That is something that I really do like about season 2 and season 3 with the show. Like I've been criticizing them a lot for not giving a lot of time to some of these side characters that are very important in the show, or like will do very important things. I feel like giving Roddy the Ruin the opportunity to kill a character as big as Ormond Hightower should be reason enough to want to develop that character. Or even with Black Alley, we've been following Kristen Cole since season 1, and you're just gonna, that is sort of the point of like just like a random kills him. Yeah. But she's not a random in the show. She will continue to play like a bigger role in season 4. And hopefully, this means that she will get a little bit more screen time next season.
Because she does like smart, look at badass.
Yeah, and looking badass. Well, she does look like a fucking badass.
She's cool.
But yeah, like I do like how the show has dealt with the dragon seeds of like we know where Ulf is coming from, even if we think that he's an idiot. Even with Hugh, it is different. That is something that I'm curious how his turn will play out in season 4, because how much of it can you actually blame it on Team Black, and how much can you blame it on of the death of his wife, of Cat?
Good point.
Because it's not like he takes his dragon and starts burning shit. He gets off of his dragon, joins the army, and starts fighting with them.
If they are going to continue with Hugh betrayed them as well, they're going to have to do some work, because right now it's like the Blacks have more reason to be upset at him than he does at them. Because like he can blame Ulf, but the Battle of Tumbleton was always going to happen, so much so that he wanted to get her out before the battle even started. He knew it was happening, so I don't see any strong reason for him to betray the Blacks. But maybe it can be as simple as like, you promised my family stuff, and my wife died because I was not promised a castle. But then again, that was her wife saying she didn't want to leave in the first place. She could have gone with him and escaped Tumbleton before the battle. So again, they're going to have to do some work if they want Hugh to betray the Blacks as well. We're going to have to be on watch for that. But for Ulf, I like all his scenes in season 2 and season 3. This episode fails. It will absolutely fail if audiences don't understand Ulf's decision making.
Yeah.
But everybody in the audience does. It's not super hard to see why. We know why he betrayed Daemon, and we know why he betrayed Ormond. It makes a lot of sense both ways. They did a great job there. It's Hugh where I'm just like, I wish we would have seen. I didn't like that Hugh was just boom, my wife's dead. Like, she was a character important enough to have scenes dedicated to herself in the earlier half of the season. Why couldn't we see her die? It felt weird to just jump cut to like boom, and then she's just dead on the ground. I was like, oh wow, she's just
maybe they're just trying to play with the idea of like, we will never know, and Hugh will never know who's the one who did it, if it was the Team Black or Team Green type of thing.
That's fair.
But I found like one of the passages about their treason in the books.
Okay.
Others suggest that it was avarice, not cowardice, that led White and Hammer to betray the Blacks. Honor meant little and less to them. It was wealth and power they lusted for. After the Gullet and the fall of King's Landing, they had been granted knighthood, but they aspired to be lords and scorned the modest holdings bestowed on them by Queen Rhaenyra. When Lord Rosby and Stoke were executed, it was proposed that White and Hammer be given their lands and castles through marriage to their daughters, but her grace had allowed the traitor's son to inherit instead. Then Storm's End and Casterly Rock were dangled before them, but these rewards as well the ungrateful queen had denied them. Again, can you really trust that? Because again, most of the book is just like written to make Rhaenyra look bad.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Like she said no to everything they said to her.
Yeah. So I guess you could say that, but again, like the fact that the Fire and Blood is like, well, who knows what happened?
Yeah, you can't use any of that in the show, because that characterization is not Hugh at all. Hugh isn't one who desires avarice. He's not one that desires like, I need a castle. I need everything that I was promised. They were kind of leading to that in episode 3, when he asked her, it's like, hey, I was just knighted. Thank you very much. Do you have a castle for me? And she's like, oh yeah, it's on the way. And we're like, that could be bad for Hugh. But Hugh never like doubles up on it. It never goes back to her on the whole castle front. Maybe though, Hugh is a family man. Without his family, what is he? Who is he defined as? We could see that in season 4. It's like, okay, without a family, maybe he does covet those things. Maybe he does start to covet those things now that he has nothing else to live for. And if he covets those things and Rhaenyra still declines him, that is then where we can see betrayal. Because he has nothing holding him back now. He is an unchained. What does it call it when your husband dies? Is he a widow? I don't know. But he has nothing holding him back now. He was defined by his family. His family's gone. So now he could be coveting those things that was in the books. And if he's declined that, then we could see something turn. But for right now, I wouldn't buy it, given what happens in this episode.
Yeah, we'll actually start talking about the Battle of Tumbleton in a minute, but this is one of the many reasons also why I'm just like so fascinated by the idea of like wanting to wrap up the show with one more season in just 8 episodes, because you need to also, again, you have to establish, if they do the betrayal of Hugh, you have to establish that. you have to do the second battle of Tumbleton, which very much seems like will happen at this point.
Can we do a quick pause on that?
Go for
I
it.
am shocked that like it seems that we're getting a to be continued because I've heard about the 2 battles of Tumbleton. That wasn't a huge spoiler for me, but
Yeah.
I always figured like, oh, that's a book thing. They don't have time for 2 battles. They'll just condense it into the season finale for season 3. But given the way that like, even though Ormond is dead, Andor dude still survives.
Gwaine,
Gwaine still survives.
Darren.
So like, yeah, especially Darren still survives. So I was like, oh wait, we could actually get a second battle, even though Tumbleton is a wasteland now. Like, how can you have a second battle in this wasteland? Or maybe that's a spoiler, but like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, can they do it? Who wants who? Nobody's living in the city, so can you have a second battle for this city if the city is now dead?
Yeah. So like, it's not really a spoiler because it is different enough from the books and the show. But you know, Ulf and Hugh betray the blacks, and then they are sided with the Greens for a limited time, and then they betray them too. It's not like immediately in the same moment as it happens in the show. But there is this like small plot of in the remains of Tumbleton, led by John Roxton, who is the under guy, and by this other character called Orwin Peake, who's not in the show. Maybe he will be in the show. I don't know. But it seems to me that Wayne is going to take over his role, and what these characters are trying to do, Roxton and maybe Wayne in season 4 is. They're trying to find a way to deal with the dragon seeds directly because they see them as a threat just as much as the blacks, if not more, just because of how much of a wild card they are. So that's a lot of what the second battle of Tumbleton is. It's not even about the blacks; it's about the greens
dragons.
and the dragon seeds.
Okay. That could be a thing. I could see that. It's easy to write in like not easy, but there is a path. Dune, there's a path to write it in.
It's already established. Yeah.
By establishing, Gwaine literally saw the whole like, oh, so this was Ormond's plan all along was to use Ulf. Okay, so Gwaine has that in his mind now, going into season 4. And it can definitely be about of like if they want to close out, if they want to have an arc just dedicated to closing out the dragon seed plot, making that its own battle. That's where you can wipe out. I don't know. I haven't read the book. If you can potentially wipe out or handle the dragon seed, put a close on the Ulf, Hugh, maybe Adam. I don't know what he's doing. Storyline of it all by making the second battle all about them. That is interesting divergence.
Yeah, but that is the thing that I'm fascinated by. You have to do second battle. You have to do the dragon pit. You have to do the God's Eye. You have to. There's a shit ton of things that happen in King's Landing. The Hour of the Wolf. Still, we'll see if we get there. All in 8 episodes.
Do you think we'll get such a big epilogue like that? Like again, just from what you told me about like post-world scenery setting stuff, like are we gonna have time? 8 episodes? I
don't know, man.
Wait, so how many battles? So Tumbleton 2. What's the other battle?
I mean, God's Eye is pretty. I mean, I wouldn't even categorize them as battles. I would just say like set pieces because some of them aren't really battles, but they're just like really big moments that happen in the stories, like the stuff that happens in the Dragon Pit. Huge, but it's not. I wouldn't really consider that as a battle.
Like from Helena's dream, right? People.
Yeah. So there's like a good amount. Like you could have one for each episode essentially, and then you have to pair that with like character work, and then like Ryan was talking about like, oh yeah, we're introducing new dragons and new characters this season. It's like like my guy, relax. But I mean, it is important. Like again, like the shepherd, that is an important character that you need to introduce in season 4, unless you want to make Saria the shepherd somehow. I doubt it, but
okay, we have 8 episodes. Maybe each episode does this turn into Stranger Things season 4 with like an hour,
2 hours,
2 hours, hour. And
come on, Ryan, lock it. Well, just make it 10.
Or just spoiler alert, do 2 more episodes. I don't know. It's so weird why they sit with 8. I don't get it. But yeah, the battle itself though, I like how again in the lead up to it, Gwaine is taking charge here. And before that, we see Daemon, right? Daemon getting knighted by Ormond. Third time we've seen a knighting ceremony this year. Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the whole knighting epicness before the joust. And then we get the
Dragon seeds.
dragon seed knighting, which is very awkward. And boom, 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 get out of here, get out of my face. And then now we get one with Daemon, which is also very just funny because
And
all these
hypocritical.
values, all these values are things that Ormond just does not stand for
Care about
at all.
Even though he says he's a faithful man or whatever, but
Yeah, like oof. And I love how Gawain's doing battle. I'm just looking at him like this motherfucker, this poser. Like you're not a knight. Like, let me see you box somebody. Like, come on. So that was very awkward.
Yeah, but I love the chaos that is happening inside the walls of Tumbleton. You have all of these fractured relationships of Darren and Wayne trying to figure out what to do with Ormond's plan because they're still very much in the dark about Ulf. Which leads them to do what they do of trying to negotiate with Daemon and by liberating Corlys. Really funny scene. Realistically, what did you think was gonna happen, Wayne?
I mean, that's why we love Gawain. That's why Gawain's the same person who said, like, "Come on, Kristen, come be my knight at Old Town or Highgarden." It's like Gawain has these things where it's like, "Oh yeah, Kristen can't say no to this," and then like, "Oh yeah, Daemon can't say no to this," like because he has all these like lofty ideals, but he doesn't understand like people. Yeah, like Dunk, like he doesn't understand people. Like Kristen, that was not who Kristen is. Kristen isn't somebody who's just going to be a knight for a lord in a castle and be content with that. Daemon isn't some kind of person just going to be content with like owning 98% of Westeros. He wants it all. I'm coming for it all. I'm leaving here with something. Denzel once said. So it's like, so it's very, very hilarious confrontation. Daemon full of like aura at this, but I did like how Corlys was backing up Gawain in this a little bit by being like, the realm never will support a woman, and maybe you don't have to be. Maybe Darren doesn't have to be king. And I like how Gawain's like, "Hey, you're altering my deal," and he's like, "Shut up, white boy." He's just basically like, he can be the warden, just like we had the warden of the North with the Starks. Darren can be warden of just this part of the South, not even the whole South, just this one part of the South. Darren can be ward to, but no, Daemon wants it all. As you mentioned, he wants all his enemies, the traitors, heads on spikes. But this was a great confrontation.
Yeah. I like that that the show kind of adapted something from Fire and Blood, but like in a different way. So Gawain's plan, his proposal, that's a proposal that Alicent presents to Rhaenyra when she takes King's Landing. The exact word for word is just Alicent is the one who's vouching for it, and it ends in a really like diva against diva way in the book of in the sense that Rhaenyra is like, why would I go with that? Like, I would have given your sons a place in court if they would have just followed, along with how this transition of power should have been. But like, they became traitors and they killed my sons. And then Alicent in the book says something like, "Yeah, bastard sons," kind of like saying like,
"Damn."
Like what does the blood of your children mean against like the one of mine type of thing? Again, like way like different relationship those two characters have in the books, but
that's savage.
But yeah, that is really savage. But yeah, like I like whenever the show like takes something from the page and does it differently or gives it to like somebody else, and it does fit in this context that Wayne would be the one who would try to be like reasonable about it, even though like dude, like this is not a good plan. Like nobody's gonna say yes to this.
Daemon's been ready to burn down, not Tumbleton, but just burn down his enemies since he first had them bend the knee. He was, I should have killed them long ago. I'm not stopping now. Like we're too far gone.
Yeah, and I like that exchange of like, you came for peace. I'll let you die either here right now or inside your walls. You choose. And then he like runs away. But I really like that little speech that he goes on after, where he's like, the next person from that comes inside the walls will be attached to my whore on the front on the front lines or whatever. It's like, yeah, let's go.
He was ready. Yeah, great. In contrast to Rhaenyra's speech that didn't really go so well. I like how we had to edit, just cut to Daemon giving his speech on horseback, like, "Let's go, let's do this," and followed by Roderick's own like Stark chant, like two really hoorah moments. Leading up to this battle.
Something that I really like about this episode with Roddy and the Starks is that you really do see a different side of the Norsemen in this episode. Much more brutal, much more savage, and like one of the things that I always found frustrating about the main show is that they always try to portray not just the Starks but also the Norsemen as these like pure of heart people. Is like
Honorable.
no, like these people are also fucking assholes. Like they don't care. Like yeah, they might keep their word. That's honorable enough, I guess. But like they can also be awful people. And like Roddy, he's cool and everything, but he's over here like killing children and stuff like that. And it's like again, like I really really enjoyed to see like a different side of that house.
It was very funny, yeah, because people were like, how far has the Stark line fallen? We get this badass Roderick, then he cut to like
Ned and even like like even he's not like a member of House Stark, but like he's like a representative of House Stark.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. He's a good representative of like the savagery of the Starks here, in contrast to like John and Ned and Rob in the OG. So it's very different kind of stuff.
It really puts into perspective that Ned Stark was working overtime trying to put these men on like online.
big time. But yeah, like I loved everything about Roderick this episode. The way he was like sniffing around Gwaine, like, should we just kill him? I was like, it's so good. Like he's just ready to kill somebody.
I think my favorite line was when Daemon is like, I need you to go inside and open the gates, and then you can die for your queen. And then he's like, open the gates, die for the queen. Got it. Type of thing. Like,
yeah, got it. Good. Yeah, I'm ready, boy. I'm ready. And yeah, this is because they learned that there were children along the battlements that can't really immediately use Caraxes. They want to raid the city first, separate them, then raid with Caraxes. Slight change of plans. And yeah, I like how he's like, okay, cool. I'm going out there. First things first. I'm ready to die. They are ready to die. And this entire siege sequence was just incredible. Arrows are flying. Fantastic push. Fantastic siege. I just love the brutality of everything that Roderick does in this episode. Like, yeah, like the kid hits him in the ankle. He's like, boom, hits him in the head. Like he just goes full blast, looking for Aemond. I like halfway through, they're like, wait a minute. We're still alive. We survived. Let's keep going. Like we haven't finished here. Like it's just a fantastic charge.
Yeah. I really like what is it? Oh yeah. One of the things that I mentioned earlier in the season was the fact that Roddy and Kristen Cole were kind of like on parallel tracks of both of them are on a suicide mission, but they're going about it very differently. Roddy gets the death that Kristen Cole maybe would have wanted to go. He goes on a really epic way, the way that he goes out.
I loved everything about it. Did Aemond kill anybody in this battle? He was just
I think he was like hitting some people, but I don't know if he did like any real damage.
He was like hitting, pushing, and then stabbing him in the ass. That's wild. That's so Game of Thrones. And then just like succumbing to Ulf's betrayal, betrayed by the only person he kicked out of the toilet just hours ago. Just hilarious. Hilarious. That's perfect. Like, yeah.
The constant bit of him throwing up at the sight of Ulf or like at the sight of blood.
That was fantastic. Yeah. And going back to Aemond as a character, farewell to this fantastic character for a person that was so demeaning to Targaryens ever since his arrival, to then using Daemon a Targaryen, using Ulf a Targaryen, but falling prey to a Targaryen with Ulf's betrayal, getting hit by Targaryen dragonfire. Like, it makes a lot of sense. And it makes a lot of sense here. Like, he succumbs to the enemy, the entity that he totally devalued every step of the way.
Yeah, two things. I really like the constant paranoia that he is at the beginning of the battle of like, where the fuck is Ulf? Like, he's just like running around all the entire city. And I also really like that that visual of he's going through the city, like, getting people getting on their face, asking for Ulf, and then at some point like Caraxes flies over him, and it almost kind of looks like the shot from Daenerys in the finale of Game of Thrones. But I really like that because it's not that it's like one-on-one similar to that, but if anything, like you were saying, like these competing values of religion, almost in a sense of like these dragons who are like makes the Targaryens gods, and then you have this man in the ground who lives lives by these rules, but like he doesn't even really follows them, and kind of like clashing together visually. I thought that was like really really cool. But yeah,
And
like
sorry.
No, go for it.
It just goes to show this battle, man. It goes to show how important how tide changing dragons are. Just one dragon off ended this battle. They just was also Silverwing, right?
Yeah.
Just Silverwing like pretty much ended this battle in minutes. Decimated the blacks, not decimated, but like took out the rear and then just like burned the town to a crisp. Just one dragon. Now we understand why Daemon's like, we have 6 dragons, we can conquer this whole fucking land, like this whole Westeros. Like this battle encompasses just how powerful these dragons are. Because just one dragon changed everything. This battle was built up for episodes on end, days on end, weeks on end, and all tide switching just changed everything in the course of a few minutes. Like, that's crazy because Caraxes helped burn through the wall, but Vermithor wasn't even like in it. It was just really Silverwing, and it was just like really changed everything. It's crazy to even think about.
Yeah. Yeah, like just the way that I think honestly this might be one of my favorite battles that they've done across the shows, just because of how much you care for the characters. And earlier as we were like getting into discussing this, I kind of like compare it to the bells, and there's a lot of reasons why that episode doesn't work on a just on a principle level. But one of the things that I really like from this episode is that I've always thought about with the bells is that one of the reasons why that episode doesn't work, again, many reasons why, but like one of the reasons why it doesn't work is because you have all of these people supporting Daenerys, and they're like, they break through, they start like, killing everybody who they see essentially. But I think for me, like, if you do actually wanted to portray it as a tragedy, as a dark turn, it isn't just Daenerys who's turning, it's everybody around her, which is kind of like what's happening here with Rhaenyra, right?
Yeah.
And for a guy that tries to be this guy who lives by his morals, and well, not his morals, by his word, somebody like Jon, to feel like disconnected from the battle from the beginning and not be fully committed, it always felt wrong to me. First of all, the whole thing about him like immediately not wanting to be with Daenerys because he learns about his identity is like,
that was so
fucking stupid. But even that, besides that, it's like you gave your word, you should be committed to this. If I like how it plays out here in the show, because even though Daemon is the one who has been trying to convince Rhaenyra to do this, and he's been guiding the Rhaenyra into this dark path, and also Rhaenyra in return has been also like corrupting Daemon, and like speak to the point that now she's like, okay, do your word, go play your word, essentially. Yeah. Now again, like one of the big themes of this episode of the season is like, be careful what you wish for. Now he's in it, and he's seeing all of this shit happen around him, and like he's horrified by it, but like it's not like he's like, okay, let's leave. It's like he still continues. He's still like trying to get inside like the main castle, and it is Corlett who is like, dude, like just look around you. Like it's not even about like, oh, like this is morally wrong. It's like, we're gonna literally die if we don't leave. Let's get the hell out of here, type of thing. And I really like, again, like I'm seeing Daemon do all of these things, and I'm like, man, if you would have had somebody, I guess you could say Grey Worm was that person in Daenerys' side or whatever, but if you would have like somebody as big of a character like Daemon is to Rhaenyra in that episode, again, many things you needed to change in order to make that work, but one of them being like Jon actually buying into this bullshit into like Daenerys' Kool-Aid, if you wanted to do that arc, and it's just not there. And again, like I jokingly say like this feels like Ryan wanting to do the bells, but like with good writing,
way better. Because Jon was so static in that entire conflict,
the entire season,
and then the entire season is just like he became so dull and uninteresting and unengaging as a character to watch and see what's going to happen with Jon. Like I stopped caring after a while. But then for Daemon, it's like he was like on the balcony with Rhaenyra in episode 2, being like, "We have it all. We could bring back old Valyria. We have 6 dragons. Let's burn everything to the ground." Well, Daemon, Tumbleton has burned to the ground, and he looks visibly shaken. I love this so much, especially again in contrast to Rhaenyra, seeing everything that she's done that whole day. She goes to the balcony and she like doesn't have that remorse, doesn't have like what I'm doing is wrong at all. Again, she feels much more content in contrast to Daemon, who's feeling like I think, yeah, despair, shock, confusion, but then he still is like pledging on. He still is
Yeah.
like moving forward. Like, I got to keep moving forward. I made a pledge to finish this. I have to keep on going. But then Corlys has to be the one to shake him out of it. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
Yeah, and it's just not the fact that he's horrified by what's happening around him. It's the fact that he almost dies. He gets his fucking shit rocked in this episode
Yeah.
multiple times. Honestly, one of the some soldiers from the Greens, like take him off of his horse. They kill his horse. He's like starts like fighting, and then eventually he meets John Ruxton, Andor guy. That's how we're gonna call him. Yeah, like this. It was just cool to see like two warriors with Valyrian steel like go at it. Really fun. He almost got over martelled, but luckily he got saved by Ulf accidentally.
I paused it. I was like, are we getting a Daemon Aemond twin scenario again?
Yeah.
Like, is he losing an eye? But whoo, saved by the dragon, saved by the bell. So that was crazy. But yeah, I need to know, what do we think Daemon's mode of operation is now? Like, pissed off at Ulf, confused by Hugh, nobody really won here. What's next steps for Daemon in terms of his burn everybody to the ground? Like, is he immediately gonna be like, oh, we got to rebound, go straight to Tumbleton or straight to Old Town? Like, he's gonna have to get word that like Daeron survived this, because again, Daemon has never seen Daeron. He thinks Daeron is much more in charge of this battle than we know him as somebody who didn't want this battle to happen. So is he going to be even more set against Daeron, or is he going to have a different path in season 4? So
yeah,
it's
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because again, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, at this point, Daemon is already with Nettles, the Trident, in the Riverlands, trying to find Vhagar. With the news that Aegon is alive, I can only assume that the news is going to get out that he's now reunited with Aemond. And I'm assuming that at some point early in season 4, he's going to be reunited with Vhagar. And that will become a threat. And it's not just the fact that they have to deal with the dragon seeds, it's that they have to deal with the actual dragon riders in the family, with the big one. So I think the show will have to make some work in justifying why Daemon is not with Rhaenyra trying to deal with this, and why he's in the Riverlands, most likely with Rhaena and Sheepstealer.
I bet. I mean, he can be like, "Yo, I got to do the pincer attack. I'm going straight for Aemond and Vhagar. That's my job. That's my thing." Like, if he wants to end this battle quickly, if we hear word that Aemond is
flying again,
planning and just like hauling up at Harrenhal with Vhagar as just one of possibly many positions of power for Aegon. Aegon could be like, okay, Aemond, you feel so you want to follow my plans here. You haul up here in Harrenhal, amass your forces here. I'll amass forces at my other place, and we could attack on 2 different directions. And Daemon can be like, okay, I'll take the Harrenhal job. You guys handle Aegon or whatever. I don't know. Aegon for me just seems like such a non-threat. Maybe Daemon, that's why Daemon doesn't go towards Aegon, because he's a non-threat. Vhagar and Aemond is the threat. That's where I need to go, not Aegon, who is half alive. So I don't know. I sort of know what's going to happen to Aegon. So
yeah. And to point the obvious. And you kind of mentioned it earlier, of like, oh, how is Rhaenyra going to react to this? At this point, she's like already in a very steady state of paranoia in her mind. And I'm not just saying this because I know what happens, but just even within just the context of the show, I can see her look at this shit with Ulf, and we can only assume that Hugh will turn early in the season. She's gonna become like way more paranoid about who is in her camp, and it might be a case of Adam paying for Ulf's sins in a sense.
Adam and Hugh. Maybe this could be what pushes Hugh off the edge. Her own paranoia about trying to lock in can only just push Hugh, because Hugh was like, I don't have no wife. I don't gotta take her shit anymore. I'm out of here.
Yeah, she's gonna start retaliating against all the dragon seats and everybody who's like a dragon rider, and like obviously you don't want to do that, but I understand why, given what just happened. But yeah,
you still need to play good cop. You can't go full bad cop on these dragon seats. I feel like I was gonna say something. But yeah, I forget now. But oh yeah. I can see the trailers for season 4. Again, the realm is watching. Kids, families, Rhaenyra's people. This whole season, why we can't use Dragonfire on Tumbleton. These are Rhaenyra's people. They're all burned. They're all dead. And the people don't care that all switch sides. Nobody knows the minutia. They know a dragon burned Tumbleton. Rhaenyra burned Tumbleton. I can see that being in the trailers for season 4.
Rhaenyra killed the Pope. Rhaenyra burned Tumbleton. Rhaenyra killed the Queen Regent or whatever, the previous queen.
All these things that, like, from our perspective, is like, ooh, that was like Helaena not committing suicide, but just like that Rhaenyra didn't push her, but mentally did. And then, like, Rhaenyra's speech, Tumbleton, that wasn't Rhaenyra, but like, aren't you the one proclaiming you have 6 dragons? That's not one of your dragons. That's not going to stand up in court, Rhaenyra. Like, Ulf really was part of your team, and he switched sides. That's on you and Daemon. So it's like all these things are like spiraling towards Rhaenyra the Cruel. Like that's gonna be, oh man, I can see it happening.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Also, like this whole Ulf thing and potentially Hugh as well. The fact that now there's gonna be most likely 3 camps: Team Green, Team Black, and then the Dragon Seats. Maybe. This episode it kind of establishes this idea of Ulf wanted to be the man for the people, like how he's like telling stories to like this tavern or whatever this place is. And everybody for the most part seems to be chill with him, so I can only assume that in early season 4 he's gonna be like, whoa, why the fuck would you want to follow one of these like fancy princelings or queens or whatever when you could just follow me, type of thing. But
yeah. But I'm curious to see what Adam does as a fellow dragon seed who is still, although he is with Bela, being like, she's a load of barnacles. Like, he's starting to realize Rhaenyra's getting crazy, but he's still with Rhaenyra. So I'm curious to see how his push is illustrated as well, because they might need to do some work writing wise, character wise, for that to be actualized. His turn. Same thing for Hugh. So yeah, fantastic battle. Again, just as Josh mentioned it, great direction across this battle entirely. Nothing was too confusing. You understood the conflict. You understood the carnage. This wasn't exactly. This wasn't a Michael Bay Transformers scenario where I'm just like, which one's a fucking Decepticon? I don't care anymore. Whatever. It looks cool. Like, it made a lot of sense here. And again, we made some complaints about Roderick, but it was so cool to follow him as like this beast just charging through the city, just going through all of it in a very entertaining and fun way.
Yeah, genuinely one of my favorite moments of the episode, or maybe the season, is Daemon calling Caraxes, and he's just like walking like like, I'm coming, Dad, type of thing. Like, okay, I'm ready to say it. Caraxes is the best dragon ever put in one of these shows. Fuck
easily.
Drogon.
Yeah, fuck you, Drogon. Wimp ass. No, Caraxes is the best. Sipping water early in the season. Like, this guy. Stay hydrated. Hashtag stay hydrated, Caraxes. Like, Caraxes is the GOAT. Like, I need to see Caraxes versus Vhagar. I need to see it like I need anything. Like I need to see Caraxes put in some work. Like, he is like the best. He's the best. And Daemon and Caraxes are just so cool together. They're so great. That shot of Caraxes bursting through the gate, like,
it's so cool.
It felt like a ride from Disneyland.
Yeah.
Like, boom, and this animatronic dragon.
Yeah. I also, another thing about that moment is that it's not just that Damon is like annoyed that there's kids. It almost feels like Caraxes is annoyed at the kids as well, and it's like get out of the way, and then just the two of them stay. And I'm like, okay, well, it's
Well, those kids
that's your choice.
That's on you. Then, I mean, I give you. If my friends dip, I'm like, hey, why am I staying here? I fuck this town. I'm gone. Yeah, those two kids were like, it was like, okay, fine, Jakars. I gave you guys way too many warnings. I got a battle to fight. Like, that was so funny, man. Like, what a funny, entertaining battle
Dark
that just
moment.
ends in dark tragedy. It's like,
Yeah,
that's why the show is so good, because you can feel those dual emotions within one single hour. So,
yeah.
great stuff.
Yeah, I
But
think
yeah,
that's everything. I think we covered everything for the most
I
part.
think
This season.
that's everything. Oh, just lastly, we didn't talk about Missoria that much, but it is a tragic, tragic end for a character. I loved how you described her character last episode in terms of how she is slowly trying to regain control of Rhaenyra while just trying to selfishly elevate herself. And look where that gets you.
Back in the
No,
bottom, just
back
like
at the
Sylvie said.
bottom. Like it's so fascinating, and I was shocked by how sudden it was. But I liked how everybody in universe was shocked by how sudden it was. It's not really a huge writing issue. The writing issue comes into like the build up to this, but I liked how sudden it was. I liked how it was just like, wow. I tried to elevate myself. I tried to hold different cards, whether it was holding some Allison secrets or holding certain things to me, talking to Sylvie behind Rhaenyra's back or whatever. Like all these things, and where does that get you? Like you're dripping honey in Rhaenyra's ears, like, oh, you're doing everything right, Rhaenyra. You're doing everything right, Rhaenyra. But where does it lead you? She doesn't need to hear that. Like Daemon eventually wins the war for Rhaenyra, for worse. I wouldn't say for better and for worse, but like it's for worse. Rhaenyra becomes much more aligned with Daemon's line of thinking. This prophecy driven, this religious overtaking power over anything vision. Even though again she thinks she's doing it for the people, but she's much more aligned with Daemon's mindset, mode of operation here.
Yeah.
So it's great. I love talking about this with you, and we'll be back in just a few months. 5 months from now, basically, in January with 97 Kingdoms season 2.
Yeah, cannot wait. Much less stressful show, but we'll have more fun just talking about random shit that they're doing, those two, Dunk and Egg. But yeah, I really enjoyed this season overall. I have my quarrels with it, but again, as I've been saying throughout this episode and throughout these weeks, it's not even really an issue with the episodes or with the season. It's just like, what happened ended up happening, and we're just like kind of stuck in this timeline now. And you can either be a miserable person and like just hate watch this thing from beginning to end, or you can just find your enjoyment out of it. And I'm choosing to do the latter.
I agree. So, some of these episodes are some of my favorite episodes in the entire Game of Thrones universe. I mean, some of the best moments. Rhaenyra seeing Jace's body is a top tier Westerosi moment.
Her killing Otto.
Oh, her killing Otto. Just the way Daemon and Rhaenyra came into town. I can't get over episode 3 with just all Rhaenyra. That was so pivotal and so insightful.
Even the Tumbleton Team Green theme episode 4, really good.
What a cool antagonist. Let's rest in peace, Ormond. What a great antagonist. What a great villain. Every single scene he ate up. Every single scene. He was so good. Shout out to Gwaine as well this season. Daemon is always fantastic. Like, I had a blast this season. I had a blast. And I liked it even more after talking to you. So great stuff. Great stuff.
But where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter, Harris EV9. This week, speaking of season finales, is the finale for X-Men 97. Nathan and I will be breaking down the finale for X-Men. I've been loving that show as well. And besides that, just chilling, doing our thing. Go watch our July recap, which was last week, where we talked about 3 hours. Talked about everything we watched in July. It's gonna be a short episode.
Never happens.
Never happens.
But yeah, you can find me at EDGRTEG on all social medias. You can find some of my written work, a lot of clear reviews in the Cinema Spot. After this, in about 2 or 3 hours, I'm gonna be gone from my house because I'm watching End of Oak Street, covering that this week. That should be fun.
Are you watching it in IMAX?
I have no idea. I'm assuming it's probably IMAX. I don't know. They usually don't tell us until we get there.
Surprise.
It is a surprise. That's how it was for the Odyssey, and I was like, "Is it gonna be 70 millimeter?" And it did ended up being 70 millimeter.
Cool.
But yeah, so yeah, you can find me doing all of that stuff over there, and you can find this podcast at WHFG Podcast. Like and subscribe. Go listen to us if you don't want to watch our faces on your preferred app, podcast listening choice. And yeah, we'll see you not next week. That's over, unfortunately, but you'll see us sometime soon. Hopefully, we have our box office episode coming up in a few weeks for the summer. So very interesting one. A lot of movies bombed. A lot of movies ruled. This guy is over here being, supported just by one singular movie. But yeah, it should be fun to recap all of that stuff. But until next time, we'll see you guys. Bye bye.